Well, welcome to the 700 Club. Today, the Supreme Court will hear a case that could turn out to be one of the most significant rulings on religious freedom in the past 40 years. Religious freedom in the workplace is now on the docket.
The case is about a Christian mail carrier who quit his job after facing pressure to work on Sundays. Matt Gelka spoke with Gerald Groff about his fight to make sure religious freedom is protected.
Welcome to Lancaster County in rural Pennsylvania, the latest battleground for religious freedom. It's here that Gerald Groff served as a postman starting back in 2012.
In the countryside, as opposed to a city carrier who delivers it in town, and using my own vehicle, driving from the passenger seat with my leg and my left arm across, driving the steering wheel and operating the pedals. And I would just go out and deliver my route.
Groff saw the job as a natural fit because with no mail delivery on Sundays, he could observe Sabbath.
I was raised in a Christian family. There was no question about working on Sunday. We always refrained from working on the Lord's Day.
Then Sunday service changed. Groff says when the USPS entered into an agreement with Amazon to deliver packages, a collective bargaining agreement had him scheduled for some Sunday shifts. At first, he found ways to work around it.
I did extra work during the week. For example, on a Saturday, we had an auxiliary route, which is like a half of a route, and there would be nobody to cover that often because of a lack of staff. So I would be delivering a full route, an 8-hour shift, and then come back and take the auxiliary route as well. And in that way, I was demonstrating to my coworkers that I was doing my part as well.
Groff eventually transferred to a different location that hadn't yet started delivering on Sundays. That changed in 2017. Unable to always find coworkers to cover his Sunday shifts, Groff got into trouble for not showing up. After years of tension, Groff quit in 2019 and sued the Postal Service. His case has made it all the way to the Supreme Court.
I said, I feel like you're backing me into a corner, asking me to choose if I'm going to honor God or am I going to obey you as my authority, and my employer. I said, I mean no disrespect to you as my employer, but I have to choose God.
What's at stake is how many accommodations employers have to make based on religion. A 1977 SCOTUS decision requires workers be reasonably accommodated for their religious beliefs without undue hardship on the employer. A lower court ruled that Groff's request for Sundays off created a burden for coworkers and his workplace. Randall Wenger helped get his case to the High Court.
I think the message for everyone is our rights rise and fall together. So be out there rooting for Gerald, because that's the liberty that we can all enjoy.
Members of Congress, including Senators Tim Scott, Marco Rubio, and James Lankford, are backing Groff with a brief encouraging the court to revisit the definition of undue hardship.
Let's protect the right for an individual to live their faith. If a person is a Muslim and they need to be able to pray 5 times a day, and we can adjust around that for them to be able to do that, why wouldn't we do that? If a person is a Christian faith that says they're very strict on the Sabbath and they want to be able to do that, why wouldn't we adjust around that to be able to allow them to be able to live this faith? This is a basic human dignity issue that we shouldn't step on.
Other religious groups are also supporting Groff, as his case could have a far-reaching impact on the future of faith in the workplace.
I really can't change what happened to me. That's in the past. But my motivation would be that if we win, first, we glorify God, and second, that we protect religious freedom so that doesn't happen to somebody else here in America.
Here at the Supreme Court, oral arguments for the case are scheduled to begin April 18th. A decision could be one of the most consequential religious freedom determinations of the past 40 years. Matt Gelka, CBN News.
Well, this is a significant case and worth watching and worth praying for, to say, do we have religious freedom in the United States? Is my job at risk when I celebrate the Sabbath, or I celebrate Christmas Day, or I celebrate Easter? These are very important holidays to our faith, and these are days where we honor God by saying, okay, I'm not going to work today. I grew up in Virginia, and in Virginia back in the 1960s, stores weren't allowed to be open. You weren't allowed to do these things. And then slowly over time, first it was the pharmacies. Well, we need to have them open so people can get their prescriptions filled on Sunday. Why they couldn't get them filled on Saturday, I don't know. But they said, okay, we'll open pharmacies. And then it was, well, we need to be able to provide food, and grocery stores were open. The restaurants were always open on Sunday, but you know, once those two came through, then Sunday became a big shopping day. But that's not in accordance with what the Bible sets out. The Bible's quite specific. It's a day of rest. You're not supposed to buy or sell on Sunday. But we seem to, as a culture, to be completely abandoning that. And now let's get our deliveries all done on Sunday. Well, we need to stand up for people of faith that say, no, I want to obey what Scripture says. I want to honor God on the Sabbath. And this is one that, yes, we need to watch and make sure that this one goes through. When the Supreme Court makes law, because that's what they've done here, reasonable accommodation is their legislation from the bench, they need to make sure that it's open. And we say, okay, Congress shall pass no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Well, in other news, the FBI arrested 2 men for operating a police station in New York City for China's Ministry of Public Security. John Jessup has more on that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
That's right, Gordon. It's an update on a story we reported on earlier this year. The men are charged with conspiring to act as agents for the Chinese government and obstruction of justice. U.S. officials say they worked out of a building in Chinatown to spy on and intimidate Chinese dissidents on American soil, including a pro-democracy activist in California.
Blue was enlisted in efforts to cause a purported Chinese fugitive to return to China. That victim received threats of violence against his family in the United States, and MPS officers harassed the victim's family.
The Justice Department also announced charges against 34 Chinese security officers and their assistants. The task force worked out of a police facility in Beijing to spread Chinese government propaganda over thousands of fake social media accounts. Well, in Missouri, prosecutors have filed 2 felony counts against the man who shot a black teen on his doorstep. The 84-year-old homeowner is charged with assault in the first degree and armed criminal action after shooting 16-year-old Ralph Yarl, who is now recovering from gunshot wounds to the head and the arm. It happened when Yarl went to the wrong address to pick up his 2 younger brothers. According to prosecutors, the homeowner shot him twice within seconds of opening the door, and no words were exchanged. The homeowner said he believed someone was breaking into his home and picked up his gun before answering it. The prosecutor told reporters there is a, quote, racial component to the case, but clarified that charges do not specify a racist motive. Well, looking overseas to Israel, where the nation is remembering the victims of the Holocaust. This as the Jewish state is facing increasing threats of extinction from Iran. In a surprising twist, one of the most prominent Iranians to ever visit the Jewish state is on hand to observe Holocaust Remembrance Day. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has that story.
Sirens blared and Israel stood still on Tuesday, as it has since 1959, to mark Holocaust Martyrs and Heroes Remembrance Day. Known in Hebrew as the Shoah, Israel's remembrance began Monday evening at Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial, marking the 80th anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising.
We are one people, and one people we shall remain, brought together not only by a painful history, but also by our shared hope-filled future and fate.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu used the solemn backdrop to remind the world of the threat Iran poses to the Jewish state.
The victory of the past does not alone guarantee the victory of the future. That is why we firmly fight any nuclear agreement with Iran, which would pave its way to nuclear weapons. For the same reason, we fight aggressively against Iran's terrorist branches around us.
And this year, a special visitor also stood with Israel, the exiled Crown Prince of Iran, Reza Pahlavi. He tweeted, "We are very happy to be here and are dedicated to working toward the peaceful and prosperous future that the people of our region deserve. From the children of Cyrus to the children of Israel, we will build this future together in friendship." Each year, Holocaust survivors participate in the ceremony by lighting 6 torches in memory of the 6 million Jews murdered by Nazi Germany and its cohorts. This is the newest exhibit at Yad Vashem. It's called the Book of Names, and it contains the names of 4,800,000 Jews who were murdered in the Holocaust. Ephraim Mol lost both of his parents at Auschwitz and showed us their names in the book.
This is the name Mor Rubin of my father.
He told CBN News about the Jewish family that adopted him and the Christian woman in Paris who saved them. 86-year-old Robert Bonfil lit one of the candles. He showed us the name of his grandfather in the book.
Here is the name of my grandfather, David Israel, Athens, Greece, place of death unknown.
His family was saved by Christians in Greece.
The Archbishop of the town, his name was Ezekiel. He was very, very friendly of us and saved my father and us.
Bonfil's 26-year-old grandson, Captain Noam Kolb, accompanied him.
The lesson I learned from the Holocaust is the importance, from the one hand, the importance of having a state as Israel, a Jewish state, as an asylum for all the Jews all over the world. But from the other hand, the importance of treating the best way all the people, all human beings, because we're all humans and we can't let never such a horrible thing occur again.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Yad Vashem, Jerusalem.
An important lesson not just for that grandson, but for all of us. Gordon?
It's never again. Let that be the call around the world. Never again. Never again a genocide. Never again a Holocaust. Never again targeting the Jewish people just because of their belief. The rabbis teach that in every generation there arises a Haman who tries to wipe out the Jewish people. May that not happen in our generation. May we not see that. But at the same time, you look at the forces in the world, and the ones that are currently arrayed against Israel, and our only hope is, God, please protect Israel. So today, above all days, let us pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Let's join with the Jewish people and say, not on our watch. We don't want this to ever happen to you again.